Released today on OneTeamShootLive.com and to celebrate and bring winning the first match.
Hi all. As you know, this isn't my typical short-form gaming content. Instead, I've stumbled across something I think YouTube deserves to see. As for the specific individual we will be discussing in this video is still active on YouTube and their community is blissfully unaware of their crimes. I'm making this video not as a hit piece, but a reminder to his awfully young viewer base of his degenerate actions within the general Half-Life community itself. While I understand a lot of these events happened years ago, this topic is hardly covered anywhere else on the internet. It deserves its own video. A video like this, especially for such a nasty individual, is definitely inevitable. That being said, do not harass anyone seen in this video, as I'm not sure who even runs this channel or where or what they're doing today. A lot of the evidence compiled by the community and myself happened years ago. The best course of action in this scenario, if you wish to do your part, is to simply unsubscribe from the channel if you are subbed, and for the love of God, stop watching the guy's content. Although I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, I think it's really best to start at the beginning. John Bolloxed, formerly known as Bolloxed, started their YouTube career in 2011 with no commentary, full-play gaming videos, strictly Valve titles and mod showcases of Valve titles. He was an early player in the game, garnering a massive audience even with his first upload, which was Portal 2 playthrough, and after this he would upload a gimmick from the Portal franchise as villain GLaDOS, sporting as a potato to use as his current profile picture.
Oh, hi. So, how are you holding up? Because I'm a potato.
His fame he would garner from his no commentary videos would blast him into early YouTube stardom. Bolloxed would continue gaining fame while making friends within the YouTube sphere, such as Big Mac Davis, another YouTuber within the commentary Half-Life sphere. Jeez, how many of these guys are there? Both him and Davis would start a fruitful relationship where they platformed off of each other and helped each other gain subscribers. Davis, especially being a streamer at the time and slightly larger than Bolloxed himself, definitely had a massive impact on Bolloxed's early YouTube career. People enjoyed his videos, kind of a quirky guy who just enjoyed playing Valve games. After some time, Bolloxed became highly respected as a person within the Half-Life community as a whole, interacting with fans mostly on Reddit and Twitter. Things continued pretty normal throughout the years, all the way up until 2018, where he announced the launch of his Half-Life themed Discord server. Fans became extremely curious as to who Bolloxed was, and he would repeatedly troll his fans with fake face reveals, vocal manipulators, and soundboards. This easily cemented himself as a bit of a prankster to his fan base, as well as having other YouTubers featured on his channel, as himself further gaining fame. One thing I am not certain of is if Bolloxed identifies as a man or a woman, as he keeps his identity very private online, although we can cite some of his early commentary videos as his assigned gender at birth, which is why I refer to him as him, because he has never publicly stated who or what he is. In fact, his anonymity and duping nature would often save him down the road from potential criticism he may face within the real world, but we'll get into that later. Back to the topic of his Discord server, which he promoted on his channel, is where he would spend most of his time interacting with his inner community. This unfortunately would let his community know the kind of person Bolloxed really was on the inside. It was really unknown up until this point, until he started interacting with the Discord server, exactly the kind of shenanigans he would involve himself with. Within the server itself, he would spend most of the time interacting with Half-Life modders and Half-Life fans alike. Bolloxed tended to be racist, anti-Semitic, pedophilic, and really all the nasty things a person can display themselves as being. Bolloxed would continue to harass the people of the Half-Life Discord server within the coming year, without it yielding absolutely any consequences or stains that he would ever feel the full effect of on YouTube. But one thing was very clear: he coveted this Discord server in a very high regard. He would constantly pester the admins for administrator role within the server, basically getting to a point where he would threaten them and complain to them personally. Although there is a landfill of evidence evidence basically stating how awful Bolloxed was and how much he would stalk and harass people, there is one case I would like to talk on specifically. One of these individuals he would come to harass would call himself Headcrabbed, who is one of many cases of Bolloxed stalking and harassment. Headcrab was a prominent veteran within the Half-Life community, being a Half-Life modder himself that would be featured all over YouTube, including having his maps featured on the Vinesauce channel. I interviewed Headcrabbed and he opened up to me about all this through messages, and he still seems pretty shaken up about it after years, which should indicate exactly what kind of a person Bolloxed was. A full-fledged degenerate. Everything was not within consequence though, because the Half-Life Discord eventually had enough of his shit, they would ban him outright. Although there was a specific last straw we'll cover in the next section of the video, I would like to first touch on the Headcrabbed interview. I DM'd Headcrabbed in late December, and not really expecting a response, but I actually did get one. I started off the conversation by asking him if he was Headcrabbed and if I could ask him some questions pertaining to Bolloxed. His response goes as follows.
Yay, I'm Headcrabbed. I'm not sure how much help I can be, because I deleted and buried a lot of old logs years ago. A lot of bad memories. Awful person.
I then told him that I was working on a documentary about Bolloxed and was trying to compile as much information as possible, and I asked him how he met him originally.
He was present in the SMC, Source Mapping Community Server. Would have been 2015-2016. Eventually he finally got banned, but continued to harass and stalk me and friends for years after being pretty omnipresent in Source Engine stuff.
Of course, that response alone really makes you think about what kind of a person Bolloxed was. Now there's even more, but before we get into that, I was kind of speculative if maybe there was a downfall or maybe Headcrab said something, but it really doesn't seem that way. I then pressed Headcrab if they were ever friends.
We were never friends. People respected him because he had a YouTube following, actually talking to them. They were an obnoxious, insane psycho. I interacted with them far more often than I should to argue and try and call them out, probably from a place of self-hatred. In the final months before I was able to cut them out, my life completely, Bolloxed caused someone in the Half-Life Discord to attempt suicide. They were okay, but it was hard to verify because they went on the drop off the internet entirely. This is why I'm not the biggest fan of digging into this history.
Headcrabbed, if you're watching this, I'm really sorry that all of this has happened to you, and I love you, and you have my support. Unfortunately, I probably won't show too much more from this interview, because it's hurt Headcrabbed more than it's hurt anyone else to even just talk about this stuff. Although that being said, when he says he doesn't like this stuff being dug up, that's for me to do, and you to hopefully not have to do, because I'm sorry that this has caused you so much pain, man. Like, seriously, like, dear God. The one thing I would like to show everybody really quick before we move on is one more part of the interview. Before the interview concluded, I wanted to ask Headcrab what he thought about Bolloxed, and this is what he said.
They were the kind of person, even when talking about, you'd wish they didn't exist in your life at all.
Headcrab serves as one of many examples of what kind of a person Bolloxed is. It takes a lot to scare someone online this badly, and before we move on, I'd like to personally thank Headcrab for coming forward to speak, even if not for a long while, just to give people an overview of what the inner Half-Life community thinks of Bolloxed, so thank you, Headcrab. I appreciate this. Just so we don't linger here any longer, I'd like to present to you the next part of the video. This one is for all you piss ants out there who feed off drama like Tyler McVicker feeds off the blood of newborns. To begin this section, we need to talk about Big Mac Davis. Big Mac Davis was a moderator within Bolloxed's own server and general Half-Life server itself. It's important to note that Big Mac Davis was well aware of Bolloxed's behavior. In fact, I would say that most moderators on the Half-Life Discord server and a few content creators he worked with were well aware of his actions, which should really put a bad taste in your mouth. Unfortunately, we won't go over all the behavior on his own Discord, as a YouTuber by the name of CLESEWARE'S has already done that in their own video. Instead, I'd like to talk about the community's reaction to his behavior, starting with the catalyst, Northern 3D. If you're at all familiar with this drama back in the day, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Northern 3D was a user on the Half-Life Discord and created an infamous archive containing all the information against Bolloxed, hopefully to be shown to people to warn them of his behavior. Most of the information I've gathered in this video can be found in this exact archive and would serve as a potential catalyst to the downfall of Bolloxed. Moving along, aside from all the evidence gathered in the original archive, Bolloxed would pull a very illegal and naughty move, as we would come to expect from him. Bolloxed would take the archive, bully Northern 3D to take the original down, and then proceed to re-upload the archive on his own site, and then file a false DMCA claim against Northern 3D. Bolloxed would proceed to blackmail Northern 3D over this email to make him submit a video for Bolloxed's channel, where Northern 3D would lie and make him say that he made up all the information against him. Did I mention that Northern 3D was 17 at the time? Now, I don't know about you guys, but blackmailing minors wasn't exactly on my bingo cards for this shitstorm. And basically, the Half-Life community would go absolutely apeshit on him, releasing post after post after post on Reddit and Twitter talking about how awful Bolloxed was and all of their horrible experience they had with him. One I would like to highlight specifically that got 20,000 views was CLESEWARE'S video on Bolloxed, which was very fascinating to say the least. While she didn't touch on most of the controversies that happened within the archive, she touched on most of the Discord drama, and I will link her video down below. While the campaign to bring down Bolloxed was semi-successful, it still didn't even put a dent in her reputation on YouTube, as they're collecting profits from their channel to this day. I guess most of her community was outside touching grass at the time? I don't know. Either way, this brings me to the reason about why I'm making this video. While the inner Half-Life community would shun her out entirely, she was still able to get collabs with larger creators and still amass a following despite everything. Now, for this year, looking at their social blade, you can see that they're still making a yearly income of about $2,000 and their views are sitting quite steady, so it was obvious to say that she wasn't very affected by any of this drama at all. Which I must say is very interesting considering all the evidence against her. It's hard to watch someone commit such horrible illegal crimes while not really having a dent to their reputation in the slightest. In the aftermath of all of this controversy, they would in fact disappear from the Half-Life community altogether, mainly sticking to their YouTube community as their main source of interaction within the fandom itself. Back to 2018, fortunately, not all was lost. The archive that Bolloxed stole from Northern 3D would be re-uploaded to the internet, forever staining their reputation for anyone who looked deep enough. Unfortunately though, Northern 3D would forever disappear from the Half-Life community and seemingly the internet as a whole, although I will link their archive down in the description below for anyone to read. For all you factoid nuts out there, we will however be going over the entire archive in its full later on in the video. Although the archive would deal the most damage to their reputation as a whole, there was still more damage to be done, as he would be inflicting it upon himself this time in a way no one could have predicted. And before we end this segment, I think it's important to talk about Hunt Down the Freeman.
You fucked up my face.
Hunt Down the Freeman was a massively funded and hugely hyped Half-Life expansion mod that looked to increase the events of the story in a Kojima-esque way. Although most of you know, Hunt Down the Freeman was a massive flop on release, and anyone who was within 10 feet of it in 2018 would be undoubtedly hanged by the Half-Life community. This release was known as the worst in the Half-Life mod history and would cement its stain on anyone who was reporting good things about it. If you were reporting positive things on Hunt Down the Freeman at the time, you'd be smited by the hand of God, but shit-talking this game isn't what I'm here to do, as that's already beating a really dead horse at this point. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, I'll link an early review in the description below for anyone who is interested in looking into this. I'd like to talk about Bolloxed's relationship to the game itself, as they had direct access to the development team at the time and would be the one to massively hype the game up. Rumors on Reddit would circulate that she donated $50,000 to the development of it. Now, if this was true, this could tie her to a horrific community outcry of people who spread a massive dox and DDoS campaign who shit on the mod at launch. Fortunately for them, I can indeed confirm this is false because I reached out to the development team and this is what they had to say.
Can I help you?
I then asked them if they were familiar with Bolloxed, and if Bolloxed donated money to the project itself.
Yes. No. She didn't donate to it. Most of the money came from two people, as far as I know. Joe Connors and Tim Littris.
With all the information circulating on Reddit, I literally thought he was lying, so I pressed him again.
Not to my knowledge. Her asking for her $50,000 back was just a meme.
On the point that she was involved with the development of the game, this is what he had to say.
Yes. I know for certain that Burkhan had a working relationship with her. She was the main streamer that was going to cover HDTF.
I then asked him if he was aware of the backlash against her.
You'd have to narrow it down, because she has a lot of controversy around her. Lol.
To cement his statement, as she never donated any money to the game, I can indeed prove this was true, as he sent me a timeline of the events of what all money went into the game, and I can show that to you right now. As you can see by this general overview timeline, not only is Bolloxed not mentioned, but the timeline disproves Bolloxed's heavy involvement in the project itself. Although, as I said, anyone who supported the game at launch would be hanged, and of course Bolloxed was willing to stake her reputation on all of this. As someone who wasn't a part of the development of the game, they sure had a lot to say about it, making claims that people could easily disprove. She would release a video in defense of it, and of course this would act as a metaphorical nail in the coffin that I was talking about. She would proceed to claim that in the video that there were no stolen assets within the game, which would land them in a world of hurt, as a massive campaign targeting the game would unfold over the Steam forums that could easily debunk their claims. While I can't source the validity of these claims, as this isn't a Hunt Down the Freeman video, nor do I know jack shit about real game development, I do know that they paid for these assets. Although that wouldn't matter, because they would continue to land themselves within a world of controversy by making a bunch of claims that they knew nothing about, nor did it help that her dubious personality would create a shitstorm for her. Before we move on, I'd like to give a massive shout out to Anthony Python, Mesa, and the rest of the OWF team for helping me compile information for this segment. I highly recommend you check down Hunt Down the Freeman on Steam. OWF has done a huge overhaul of the game, remaking most of the level design, lighting, and voice effects. They're still coming out with regular dev updates, so let's give OWF a round of applause for doing literal God's work here, as associating yourself with this game cannot be easy. I'll link their Discord down below. Now let's move on to the nitty gritty. As I said, if you were listening at all, for you factoid nuts out there, we would be going over the archive in its entirety. I just need to grab my glasses first. Yes, much better. Alright, where was I? Shall we dive in? Although I've covered the blackmail event and the Discord pretty extensively throughout this whole video, and there's a plethora of information online detailing all the events that have happened within both, I still think it's safe to go over both of those again really quick. Of course, here is the shit cherry on top of Diarrhea Mountain. Of course, blackmailing a minor with an illegal DMCA claim is less than ideal. It serves as a reminder to what Bolloxed is willing to do to make sure they don't get any bad press to leak about them on the very site they make those sweet AdSense dollars from. Which is why I'm here. Within this blackmail letter to Northern 3D, they were more than rude, and to summarize this bizarre jargon, Bolloxed starts completely making up a story about how Northern 3D stole their Discord account and was using it to post pedophilic and racist and anti-Semitic bullshit. Of course, I'm not really sure how a 17-year-old would get a hold of your Discord account. And to that same topic, why not have a VPN, especially for being such a large YouTuber, but I mean, hey, you do you, man. I'm not here to judge or anything. On top of making a video for Bolloxed's channel, she would also ask Northern to transfer their Discord account to him, so that way Bolloxed could go over all of the information they ever wanted to within the Half-Life Discord server itself, which makes a lot of sense when you think about it. As a larger YouTuber, I can't believe you even began to think that this was a good idea. I don't know what the fuck you were thinking, but I guess that's just you, right? And on their point that Northern 3D was spreading misinformation about them, I can safely say that screenshots from your account don't really add up to misinformation, do they, bub? Now on this point, it brings us to our next section, the Discord account screenshots. Now we can start with his attention-seeking behavior. We've got a lot of ground to cover in this single category, so I'll make each one pretty quick. Here you can see Bolloxed threatening another mod so that way they can have a higher role than moderator itself within the server. Not exactly the kindest person, but I think that we've established that already, so we'll move on here. Here's a picture of a 38-year-old man pretending to not know what gender they are, having a complete hissy fit over a user on Discord, sending them weird messages. Here's him begging a modder for them to include an entire map strictly about him. Kinda neurotic. Here's him pressuring a user to commit suicide. I'm just gonna let this one sit a while. Here's that again. Pretty sure both cases are connected, and Ninja Boy, I'm watching you. I don't really need to say anything here. Here's just about the only thing that they didn't do, which was spend 50k on Hunt Down the Freeman. I will admit that's just not true. Of course, engaging in more degenerate behavior. Not even going to read this one out loud, but I'm pretty sure he's referring to Big Mac Davis here. Another one where I'm almost sure he's referring to Big Mac Davis, and I really just can't read these out loud. I'd just rather not. The irony here is being a degenerate and then talking shit on degenerates is very fascinating to say the least. I understand that this might be a joke, but it's still weird as fuck. Considering his Hunt Down the Freeman drama, this is a very fascinating subject. Referring to gay furries in a derogatory term, very fascinating. Here's him discussing porn with a minor. Now, this one requires some explaining as I can't speak to the validity of this, but this is an account from someone who claims that Bolloxed messaged them as a minor about sexual things. Very nasty. I'm pretty sure the previous screenshot involves this one as well, as both conversations appear to be connected. In a deep conversation with our favorite no-chin knife surfer over here. We miss you, Leafy. Him talking about the life expectancy of black people and how it's so much shorter. I don't know what this is in reference to. Even more furry hate. Very interesting. Now this one's just a double whammy, talking about Nazis and putting furries in camps. Dropping a hard R, I can't even show that on YouTube. In fact, this guy really loves dropping hard R's. I might as well just compile them all into one segment. Posting this publicly is insane, and I mean, I don't even need to say anything, Jesus Lord. It's about wanting to record the killing of black people. Dear God. Swastika number 1. Now I'm pretty sure this is the same swastika, but he posted it twice, so I mean, there you go, folks. Someone asked him to delete it. Didn't go very well. Politely declined that offer. Bolloxed giving some intellectually sound fashion advice. Take it from this guy. Must have caused an actual uproar here because someone fucking asked him to delete it again. Asked him to fuck off a second time. Now, I don't really know what this is in reference to, but apparently it was a female shooter. Take this as you will. Even more racist jargon. Great. Here's evidence about our poor friend's stalking and harassment. I'm so sorry, Headcrabbed, and remember, we love you, man. Stay strong. This isn't very funny. Just gonna leave this here. On top of his usage of the N-word, he really likes the R-word a lot too. This one reads to be pretty rough, but I have no idea what it means, and if someone in the comments could please help me out, that would be amazing. On their hidden Reddit account, they appear to go by the name of Scruntor, so I'll just leave this here for anyone who wants to read it. This guy is super fascinated with Nazis. Here's a 9/11 joke. It's pretty cool. Moving on to images now. I can't even begin to describe what the fuck this is. This is a fucking freak show. Here's his dog Crowbar, which will become very important momentarily. He's a very cute doggy, I must say. Yeah, I can't even show this on YouTube, but here's a picture of a dog getting fucked with a crowbar that has the Half-Life logo on it. You can't make this shit up. We have a resident artist in the house, folks. I don't really know what's going on here, but I felt like I should include it anyway. I think I'm going to end it off here, guys, because including the rest of the archive felt a little arbitrary. Of course, like I said, I'll link the archive down in the description below for anyone to read, so if you guys are interested, I highly recommend you take a look for yourselves. Now, I have enough information to make a part 2, and given the reception of this video, that definitely will happen, so if you guys are interested, please give this video a like and share it with your friends. As for the end of this video, I will be officially signing off. See you when I see ya.
This is my first video on Instagram. I'm not wearing a shirt, it's a shirtless jam.